What up, Raffalitos? Welcome back to my channel. Look at where we are. We are in Houston. That over there, that is the new 4 Points Hotel and Resort. And over here, bet you can't guess what this is. Last time we were here, this was supposed to be Sheriff Hospital and Sheriff Sheriff's Mall. Sheriff was building a mall and a hospital here. But here I am on the 1st of June 2024 and I run into this sign. So apparently it's no longer going to be Sheriff General Hospital and Sheriff Shopping Mall. Instead, this is going to be Guyana Water Incorporated new headquarters building. So in the last month or so, somebody's put up this sign. Right, we are on Bypass Road. This is the East Bank Bypass Road, now referred to as Heroes Highway. And that's looking south. We're heading south towards that traffic circle, the interchange, where they have that pool. I want to see what's happened to it since the last time we were here, but I just decided to stop and take a look at what's going on in this neck of the woods. It came across this sign. So it turns out that Sheriff has changed the plans for this building, and I have no doubt that it has to do with the massive new hotel that's being built nearby. So we saw that 4 Points Hotel and Resort being built. It's a massive complex, right? A large 4-story building with a steel frame. And the last time I was in this neck of the woods, I compared that building to what Sheriff is building next door. A number of tiny structures that were built with reinforced concrete. The frame of it was basically reinforced concrete. Since then, what has happened is that they have decided to add a steel frame on top of the reinforced concrete. So this is a steel frame that they are now building upwards above the reinforced concrete. So I've been having a discussion in the comments and in my last video about the use of reinforced concrete as opposed to using steel frames to construct these buildings, and explaining what the properties of reinforced concrete are. In fact, how in a situation where you're building tall buildings, if you're going to build tall buildings, it is better to build a steel frame. And I explained why, right? The reason why is because reinforced concrete deteriorates over time. Inside of these vertical pillars, these concrete pillars, is rebar, right? Steel rebar. And that rebar corrodes, it rusts inside the concrete pillar over time. And that eventually leads to failure of the concrete pillar. That is, they begin to crack. You see cracks develop in the pillars and in the walls. And I can show you close up what that looks like because I see it every day, I see it regularly. Right? The problem is that when you build a tall building, let's say 10, 15, 20 stories tall, eventually over a period of 15, 20, 30 years, the concrete building itself loses its integrity. This is not necessarily true for steel frame buildings, right? There are people who are arguing with me in the comments about this, but it's very easy to prove that. A lot of the collapsed buildings that just collapse, like the ones in Florida and the ones in Bangladesh, were built with concrete, reinforced concrete. the other issue has to do with the foundation. If you're going to build a tall building, right, especially in Guyana, if you're going to build a tall building, you need to build the appropriate foundation. And I'm going to give you a look at what the foundation looks like, or what the building foundation looks like in the case of 3-story and 4-story and 5-story buildings in Guyana, and how most people are not even following the recommended foundation. But what I'm drawn to at this location is the fact that somebody must have been listening to my commentary, because a few videos back I explained how this building that was being constructed by Sheriff was poor in comparison to the one next door. And suddenly the government of Guyana has decided to essentially lease or purchase this unfinished Sheriff building. This is going to be, I think, a hospital, or it was going to be a shopping mall or a hospital, or something like that. And now the government has purchased or leased the unfinished structure to build what they're calling Guyana Water Inc., the headquarters of the Guyana Water Incorporated, GWA. Now, and on top of this concrete structure, you can see they're actually adding steel, right? So that's a steel frame. So the first 2 floors of this building were built with concrete. The first 2 floors of this building are built with concrete. And the upper floors are going to be built with steel frames. But that's what's happening here, guys, and it further illustrates the point I'm making. And I'm glad that somebody's listening, because it's the people who are going to inhabit those buildings, people who are going to use those buildings, the workers who will spend their days in those offices, whose lives are at stake. Because when you build structures that are not meet engineering standards, the people at risk in case of a earth tremor or earthquake, or even just the natural deterioration of the land, of the structure over time. The people in those buildings are not the people constructing them, right? It's not the government who's going to suffer. It's the ordinary Guyanese citizens that suffer when poorly constructed buildings are built. But that's the point about this video. This is the update of what's happening here at the Houston, just at the back of, that is south of South Ramvelt Gardens. This is what is happening. Now next door there's a whole lot more construction going on. Last time I was in this neck of the woods I showed you what was happening, but I like to come around this area very frequently because it is the most rapidly changing, developing, growing part of the country, right? This East Coast or East Bank bypass road has opened up all of this land that was previously just farmland, Gaisico's plantation lands. Now all that land is open up for development, and we're going to see in the next several months or so how this place is transformed. Like I said, this actually reminds me of what I used to drive on, you know, on the .401 in Ontario, Canada. If you're driving from, say, Toronto to Guelph, once you get past Mississauga on 401, you would encounter this vast stretch of land that was just undeveloped. And that's the feeling I get when I'm in this neck of the woods. Over here you can see there's still preparing the land for construction. There's a lot of construction vehicles over there working on building up this expansive land. But yeah guys, that's what's happening in this neck of the woods. We're heading south this morning. I'm going to see what's happening at the interchange. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in the fastest growing section of the fastest growing economy in the world. This is Houston in Guyana. Later!